Hello, hello. Testing, testing. Chat is working. Okay, I had a small delay because I was testing some stuff with the configurations, and I didn't realize that if I try to configure another chat on another stream. Hello, Kamoy. Another string on OBS, it will remove my old string configuration. So yeah. Now I'm going to save messing around with stuff when I finally get my vacation days, so I can actually have enough free time to do a lot of the finagling around that's required to do this kind of stuff. So okay, let's start. Oops. Let's get some songs to set the mood. And now let's go back. Since I have had a lot of fun with the last session drawing 16-bit style, I can do more of this today. So I am going to mess around with this kind of pixel art. I'll probably try to do uh, something a little bit like that, like a little bit like the warrior from 5.1. So let's try and get some reference first. Let me get it. Writer's resource. Okay, let's get something to work at. Um, oh, okay, I have a good idea. So, since we were talking about making sprites for characters, why not make sprites for monsters? So, JRPG genre has some really big enemy sprites, so it is pretty useful to. What the fuck? Are those edits? Okay. Yeah. Weird. Okay. So it's pretty nice to do a lot of sprite work with with a bigger size, since you don't have to worry about animating them. So let's get. Oh, it's a Final Fantasy VI ROM hack. Oh. Okay, yeah. That's why the sprites look weird. Okay. Okay, let's start. I will first paste my reference so I can define this style. Here it is. Let's move it to a better place so we can have a better reference. Okay, so for example, in Final Fantasy VI we had all of those sprites for like, it's not every enemy, but it's a pretty sizable sprite sheet. And from what can be seen from the spreadsheet, one of the important aspects of it is trying to identify how they structure the characters. So, for example, you can get something like the bear that's a simple color palette, and it's more work done just on the details alone. Or you can get something like Kafka, where the color palette is actually pretty complex and it requires a lot of work to do something of the kind. So by messing around, I can probably make something around midpoint in between those. Yeah. Let's see. Okay, since I am playing Copy Kitty right now, let's make a enemy sprite that looks like Copy Kitty. Darling Boki. So let's see. I need a small image reference for Boki. So okay, we have this. So we have to work how much would be a good size for her. So humans in Final Fantasy VI really vary a lot in size, so it's not really consistent. But most boss humans are at least on the size of Kafka, as we can see in here. So we are going to use the error as a reference. So yeah, like Kafka is even bigger than Ifrit and Shiva. So let's do it. Let's just pick the reference here. Now let's move it to the side. So let's measure how many sectors the sprite have using the same technique we have been using for now until now. So first let's get the fan and then just okay. So first things first, let's measure it. This will be our corner piece, so we know that from here we will start measuring. So we have 1, 2, 3, oops, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. And the same for the vertical one. 1. Here. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3. Oops. 1, 2, 4. Okay, now we have a 16 grid, so we can use it. Now first let's make it a little larger so we can more easily spot it. So let's see. Merge down. Yeah, okay. So now let's do the repeat so we don't have to keep doing it manually. So 1 sector, 2 sectors. 3 sectors. Four sectors. Okay, so it's 4 sectors of 16. So it's in total a 64 by 64 square. That's actually pretty good. It's a really sizable area to work with. So let's merge down, merge down, merge down. Okay, the same we're going to do for the lower one. Okay, so let's merge down, merge down, merge down. Okay. So now we can remove Kafka from the middle. Where's Kafka? No, that's not it. Is it this? Yes, this is. Okay. So you can remove Kafka from the middle and it will just become our reference for the drawing. So let's create a square for bulky. Let's get the color for the background. Then people ask why people pick such ugly colors to create the background. Specifically, it's because we want something that's pops out a lot, so we are not mixing up stuff when we are drawing. So, for example, if I took a white background, certain lighter colors would become extremely hard to spot, so they would be easily be forgotten and become pollution. And the opposite goes true. The opposite goes true too. If I chose a too dark a background, the dark colors would become hard to spot, so the outlines would be awful. So it must be something that's pretty difficult to miss. So first things first, let's start with doing the general outline for a pose. Bulky generally is seen doing superhero poses, so we can actually use that for our advantage. She has one of the most common ones that's kind of like this. Not too tall. She's a little stuck here. Yeah, no, I have to shorten it because she has a big head, so I can't actually, oops, can't actually give her like so much space right now. So okay, we have a general positioning for everything. The head's a little too big, so let's trim it a little. Okay. Okay, do we have the position of the ears? Yeah, it's a good enough position for now. So yeah, that's going to be the general shape of her. So let's work in the colors. If we're going to use a color policy similar to Final Fantasy VI, for example, in this reference, you have to remember that you don't need to pick exactly the same colors. You just need to pick a palette that use a similar style. So, for example, uh, in the case of Kafka, you can see that the contrast in between the darker and lighter colors is pretty stiff. Like it's not subtle unless they are the more outer layers of his dress. That's because they're different material, but most of the stuff is like extremely shiny. So since Boki is actually covered in jewels, canonically, like her body and hair is actually made of jewels, we can actually use that for the basis of our drawing. So we can actually pick a color to be the base, and then work on from there. So first things first, let's create the general shape of things. Always remember, when you are doing sprite work, you don't need to be correct on on your first try. You just need to remember that you're going to lapidate the drawing into something usable. So you just need rough shapes first to begin. So let's see. A little too round, let me... Yes. Okay, now let's see. Her outfit is a summer shirt, so let's pick this color as a base. Also remember, I'm just using colors for reference. Those colors don't need to be final too. If you feel like the colors you've picked up during the drawing are not working out for what you intend to do, just replace them. Certain programs that specifically made for sprite work actually allow you to create a palette from your work, and you can just easily change the color on the palette that will replace all of the colors in the drawing, so you don't have to redo any of that. So it's a time saver if you have one of those. Oh, but I forgot to do her ears. Let's see. Okay, we can actually lift her a little, so we have more space to work with. And I'm also going to move a little her legs too. So let's do this. Always remember, drawings are not you don't have to fully commit to your scratch, your sketches. You can just do whatever you want. If you don't like the way it's coming out, just replace it. Don't overstress over it. Sometimes it's annoying to redo work, but you're going to learn soon that it's better to redo it and bite the bullet than to keep insisting on it until you become exhausted and just give up on it. Now for a more dynamic pose, I've thought about when filling the sketch is this. Let me get hair for the crystals. Also, learning how to properly proportion your knee in the middle of the leg also helps a lot with shading. You wouldn't believe how much easier drawing and shading becomes when you become more used to proportioning the knee, because then you have a better idea of what are the general position of every shade that you're going to use. So yeah, we have the general idea of bulking off. So let's start by lapidating her. So for example, last session we talked about the use of outlining to separate things. So yeah, outlining is still very important, and it's something that is going to help you a lot with drawings. But since we are dealing with a monster sprite now that is actually supposed to be way bigger than other sprites in the games, you are going to see that it's not as um, black and white as it was with the moving sprites. So first things first, I am, for example, dealing with this. It would make sense to give this extra tip, but actually, oops, not a razor, okay, here. But it's not really that good to get so much space just for that. What? What the hell? It's not replacing the color. Why? What happened to my pen? What the hell? Okay, let me just check why the pen is not replacing the color. It's not replacing the color. Weird. Okay, I don't know what I pressed that caused that. Let me see. Normal here. Okay, I found the culprit. Yeah, yeah, way better. So, also remember that you can easily sell the shading just by using colors. So the shape just by using colors. You don't need every single thing to be represented as a specific pixel. You can use in between pixels to in between pixels, not like actual pixels that are in between them, but you can use colors that work as in between positions for the pixels. So let's do this. Pointing it out again, it's not final. Don't panic. Don't try to. Don't think that oh, I'm not seeing something that's happening here. No, it's supposed to be rough, to be not to be to look weird. It's not supposed to be anything near final, because the entire idea is that you are first creating a rough concept, and then you can work on having fun with the actual drawing. So for example, a cat's ear generally goes into the head this way. So first things first, let's give her that. I didn't pick any color for the inner side of her ear. Let's use this representative one. But I'll probably try to flatten the colors a little later, because since we are working with the SNES, we don't want to get over the color limit on the screen. Like, the technique I told about in the last video is very important and it's very useful for when you're doing this. So remember, you can on the SNES you can pretty much use any color like that you can get on an RGB set. It's not really. It's very hard to achieve something that's not is not going to work on the SNES, but you have to remember that you have limitations on the amount of colors per sprite. You can shirk this amount using per sprite and per screen, because there is a screen limit too. So you can shirk this amount by using smart techniques like mixing sprites, composing, etc. Using background colors. It's not going to hurt to learn those, and they help you achieve certain levels of detail that you would think would be impossible without them. Like, it's it's fun to learn them because you actually get to see how things work. And let's see. Yeah, I'm not going to get another color of white. I'm just going to use her shirt. Here, she has a pink nose. And there's Mama here. Yeah, this is not going to be the final mod too. Just to reference where it is. I will probably use between tones to make the nose less pronounced. But yeah, that's the general idea. So now let's go for the shirt. her shirt is actually layered because it's a I forgot the name of this kind of shirt. Like in Portuguese, it's regata. But yeah, it is those sleeveless shirts. It's a sleeveless shirt over a summer shirt. So we can use that for our advantage and play around with the layers by using the dark color, or the color of the outline, to play with it. So let's do this. Okay, this kind of curve is not looking good, so let's okay, it's in here. Oh, we can leave that in here. So let's move this here and here. Better. Let's see. The finger is going to be in a pistol position, so I have to use that. Here, okay, it looks better. Okay, let's do the small skirt area on the summer dress, on the summer shirt. Now the shorts. Since they are fitting shorts, I don't need to use the black outline to separate it from her tie. Okay, we got the general shape of the sprite now. So as you can see, by playing around, we can actually start seeing the final drawing already. So we have a rough shape of what we want to do, the general idea of the colorings that we have, and we can actually have a plan of what we're going to change as stuff goes on. Like for example, I can get a extra line of outline here to close it without affecting the drawing negatively. So okay. Oh, I forgot her tiara. Okay, let me get this. Ta-da! Now it's easy to see her tiara and it's easy to do the rest. So, now that we have the general idea of what we're going to do, we have to work a palette. The first, okay, let me first save, let me join extra files so I don't mix up. I have to remember that I've been using this one. 18. Okay. So I have to create a palette for her. I've used the colors from her official artwork for reference, but you're not necessarily have to use those colors. Like the Cup Kitty's general palette are way more filled with pastel colors as their base. So yeah, it's not really going to fit a style like Final Fantasy VI. Final Fantasy VI has a lot of really strong contrasts. Like the pastels in Final Fantasy VI are supposed to imply a actual lightness in sprite. Like for example, the shine of the mollusk or the metallic shine of the machine, etc. When something is not supposed to be shiny, it's not going to have so many pastels like this. They are very thick colors, etc. So what we're going to do, we're going to use this color as a base and then think around what would be a better replacement for that if we're going to use. So for example, a good way to create contrast is that Final Fantasy VI's colors are way on the warmer side, so we can actually try to work around by creating a evolving contrast in between. Let me get the paint bucket here. In between the bluish shades and the yellowish brightness. So for example, we are going to draw here, it's going to be the beginning of our green palette. So we are going to move slightly to the yellows. Let's see how many colors how many shades a single color has. So let's do it. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6. So we can have up to 6 in a single group, but generally they go to 4. So as you can see, 1, 2, 3, 4. Oh, 5. Yeah, they go in between 4 and 5. Some of them don't have only 4, but they will go in between 4 and 5. So let's use that as a base. We have Kafka has the yellow, the blue, the red. So it has 3 main colors plus the white. So it has 3 main colors plus the white. It has only 2 shades, and it's shared. A lot of the shades are shared with everything else. So let's pick a white first. When you get a white, you want a white to be complementary to the rest of the drawing. So I am going to pick something near. Let me see. Yeah, since I want her colors to be a little on the warmer side, I'll use yellow as a base. Even though their gray is actually closer to purple. Let me just see their white where it is. Oh, it's closer to yellow. Okay. Yeah, no, I was right. So yeah, let's get this. So this is going to be our white. And the grayish is going to be up there. And it will fit on her shirt too, like it fit the color of her shirt. So let's already get this to replace her whites. Great. So let's do this. This also means that we can actually have a little more fun with the intermediate shades. So we have this. This. And this. Okay, 5 is a good amount for this one. Now let's make it a little lighter because it's a little too close to the upper color. Here, okay. No, it's still too close to white. Okay, yeah, that's workable. It's closer to the color of her eyes. That's it. We're going to make both share the same color. Okay, so we have the second main color is going to be her skin. So her skin, gonna get this. Let's see. Too reddish. I believe this one is closer to what we got. Let's see. No, here and here. And the last one is here. Yeah, perfect. Okay. Because the white we're going to use this one. And let's use the... Okay, let me just do something that's buttering what there is. Yes, okay, better. So now we have the purple. We can make the shorts purple too, part of the short purple shade, and we can use create different techniques. So first, let's get the darkest shade of purple here. Let's see. Since we're going to get closer to the warmer colors with the movement, so we start with this. No, I want you on the side now. Look at this again, okay. Yeah, no, this is better, okay. We can get this one. This is our dark blue. No, little more. Switch it down. No, okay, yeah, that's perfect. Here. And here, okay. And now you can use this as a base and get a different complementaries for the navy blue in here, okay. And the last one, we have to get the pinkish. So for the pinkish of inner ears and the nose, let's see. We need something a little darker, probably this. This one. And this one. Okay. Yeah, this is going to be a good palette for us to work with. So let's paint her on the colors. By the way, can you hear me well, Kamui? Okay, so let's start with the hair. The hair actually, since it has shading that's closer to crystals, because as I said, Bulk's body hair is actually covered in gems. We can actually try to work it around. So let's get back to the drawing pen right here. Let me see. Yes. Does we check? Yeah. Okay. Yeah, it's going to be working like this. Since generally the shading is always coming from the character's side of the screen, we're going to use that as a light substitute. So we have to remember that. For example, if you don't want to have to use too much of the outline and want to make it more subtle, you can use the darker shades for that. So and you can decide that you can use the darker shade instead of the outline if you see the lighter colors are touching the edges of the drawing, like in this example. Now let's get the next shade. can see the shade already forming. Better, okay. My cell phone is acting up. Just give me a second. So let's get the last shades. And okay, that's just uniform. Let's see if it works better this way. Okay, maybe I need to. No. Let me undo this. Yeah, no, let's leave it like that for now. When we have more of the drawing to compare, we can actually try to work with it. So yeah, this is her crystal hair. So now let's do the ears. Since they're already up here. Okay. No. Yeah, no, the shade of pink is too dark. It's not really complementing well with the rest. So let's use this one. Okay, yeah, this one works way better. Now it's working well. Yeah. So let's do the tiara. The tiara is on the purple colors, so we have to work with it. Get this and this. No, this one is actually good in there. But in this one, yeah. So let's do this one. Yeah. Okay, so it's already coming around. We can already see some of the details working out. We can use the outline to round stuff up, and there you have the hair. Yeah, okay, now let's work well. Let me just erase here and here. Yeah, now the way it started was good, okay. So we are going to work the rest of her face. So for example, we start with this. We get a darker shade, oops. And then we can use this. Her expression is kind of really angry. Let me give her some shading on the face to make it less stern. And now let's use the colors. So the darkest color of her eye is actually not nope. Oh, I know what's happening. Yeah, okay, let's do the rest of the face and we can fix the eye. Now for the techniques of using half colors to imply shape. This makes her face look like a kitty. Yeah, no, it's actually looking way better now. Okay. Let's see. Mhm. Yeah, so it's working way better now. We can actually try to mess around with here too. Because, yeah, a hard thing of doing the Final Fantasy VI style art is that it uses a lot of dark details because it has a lot of dark contrasts. So it's not something that I'm very used to, so I have to keep checking if it makes sense. Okay, let's. Since the white on the. Since not the white, since the gray is actually using purple as its base, you can actually use the dark purple to as a complementary shading for the outline. So we have a little more free room to work with shading her shirt. And it will complement well with the rest of with her summer shirt. Mhm. Yeah, okay, it's working well. So now let's do her summer shirt. testing fast. Okay, let's see. Here. Is this to imply the bend of her elbow? Okay, now the breast part of her summer shirt. Oh, Linus too. Great. Okay. So let's get this out for the. Okay, let's get the darker shade for the inner thighs. Here and here. going to be the same. Remember that she shoots from her fingers, so we can actually use that for our advantage and play around a little with the shading. So let's pick this one. And now the lightest color for the tips. Ta-da! We can even make a little sparkle on the tip of her finger to sell the idea that she's prepared to shoot. Ta-da! Yeah, no better. It's working well. I just need to see. Now that I see it, her hands looking like the Vampire Survivor Goldfinger. Okay, so let's see. I believe it's going to be easier if I just go directly to her feet, because the ties are just going to complement both ends. So if I have both of their shadings already decided, it's not going to be too much of a headache to create them. That's working. That's. Let's do more of the drawing before spending too much time on this. Let's see. Yeah, no, it's better now. Now I just need to make her relax. No, I'm not happy with this one. Yeah, it's a little better. Okay. Yeah, no, it's become closer to what I want. I'm not liking the darker shade, but it's working well with the rest. Why it's not working well here? Maybe if I do this, yeah. Oh no, it fixed. Yes. Great. So let's do the same for the rest. So let's get for a lower tie here. Ta-da! And this is the result of our work. Oh yeah, I forgot to get the lighter shades on here to imply that the shine is hitting her face too. Yeah, no, it's working. Okay. Yeah, so this is the resulting drawing of our strings for today. This is vocabulary in enemy sprite for and Final Fantasy 6 enemy sprite style. So yeah, a round of applause. I really liked how this one came out. And I'm having fun doing those sprite work streams. Like it's really fun to share on the process. So if those do well, I am inclined to make them way more common in the channel. So yeah, thank you everyone for participation and goodbye.